Good morning, as we always say, good morning, good people, fellow humans. And we spell that Huemonds, humans, colorful nuts. And I think that's the best way to think of us, not as filthy rags, not as people who are not worthy, not as sinners, not as people who have a sinful nature. We're just colorful nuts. We're doing things out there that are interesting and strange and humorous, etc. Well, today is Thursday, August 21st, 2025. My name is Edward Bevilacqua. This is Department of Career Services, where, as always, our goal is to do good. Always, I will do good. No, our goal is our students and others on their journey through this life. Under the firm belief that we are not just atoms in the void, we are souls, spirits that have been given the gift of a body to experience what it is like to be baryonic, to be non-spirit, to have matter, to subatomic particles that form into elements, that form into molecules and proteins, etc., etc. And this body that has 100 trillion cells and 10 times as much bacteria, 100 trillion cells, none of which know who I am or know who we are, and none of which care. And yet here we are, able to experience the same thing right now, to have that same thought in our brain right now. 100 trillion cells. And further, to have a brain that has about 86 billion neurons, none of which know who I am, none care, and 10,000 connections on each neuron, and thoughts can come into existence. My brain, and I have chemicals that make me have feelings that enable me to do things that only I or humans can imagine. And to say that is not just the result of random happenings or simply evolution. Okay, so that's why we're here, to help people on life in 4 areas: physical, fitness, and health. That is the body, the gift of the body we've been given. Mental, always be learning. Mental, always be learning. Honoring the gift of this brain, the most complex thing in the universe, other than the universe, that we have been given, not doing nothing to damage it, and all things to honor the giver of the gift and the gift itself. And then third, the gift of the emotions that we have, to learn to control them. So I'm trying to balance something here, control them so they can help us through our journey of this life. Right, and then the spiritual part, honoring the giver, honoring the gift. Well, the first 3 things, we honor the gift of our body, the gift of our brain, the gift of our emotions, and the gift of life. And fourth would be, the gift of life, spiritual. Okay, and in terms of the thing, that is all encapsulated into the State Pen Workbook, a neuroscience approach to success. Boom. Right you are. So today is day 4 of week 2 in our book. Day 4, week 2. Week 2 is called Inside My Skull-Sized Kingdom. That's my brain, my skull-sized kingdom. Why is that? Because I think everything revolves around me. I have evolved, been socialized. Everything revolves around me. You hurt my feelings. You got me mad. I determine that it's cold, or I am hungry, or I am hot, etc. Everything revolves around me. So we're looking at how does the brain work in terms of neurons, which we studied on Monday. Neurotransmitters we studied on Tuesday. The reticular activating system we studied on Wednesday. Today we're going to study a particular type of behavior, typical, something we face every day that's the result of the release of neurotransmitters and hormones, is stress. Ugh. Stress. Is it bad? Who says it's bad? Who says it's good? Right. So we're going to look at that through Kelly McGonigal, who is, or certainly was, part of the Stanford Carol Dweck group. I call the Carol Dweck group, Angela Duckworth, and Leah Crum, McGonigal, Duckworth, and Dweck. All really out there pushing mindset, grittiness, stress, etc. So, stress. Is it bad? Ugh. Is it good? Who knows? Well, we'll find out. That's in today's TED Talk with Kelly McGonigal. All right, so we're almost 7 minutes in, and our theme of today, every day we have a theme. Our theme of today's is look for ways to help. And that is associated with Darren Hardy's talk today. Great little talk about how one guy changed the lives of millions of people. Millions of people. And it's a story about the company Louisville Slugger. Louisville Slugger. How one guy, to help a pal, helped the Louisville Slugger, baseball player, who broke his bat, took him to his dad's shop and they made him a bat. And then other people wanted bats. Pretty soon they're making 3,000 bats a day. I have one. In fact, how often do you get a chance to do this? I have one here, Louisville Slugger, genuine, C263, Steve Garvey, signed by Steve in 1993. Wow, 32 years ago. Is that right? 7/25, 32 years ago. That's the bat. And doesn't really say anything, but this is the bat Steve had designed for himself. Louisville Slugger. Okay, that's a genuine Major League Baseball player bat. There we go. And some people might remember that Steve Garvey ran for state senator in California this last year in 2024. Okay, well, time is racing, so today's theme, look for ways to help. And that company was built upon some guy, the son of the owner of a company that had lathes, that made different things with lathes, a woodworking shop, helped a pal whose bat broke and came up with a bat, and then everybody loved it. And so the point was, don't chase the money, do things to help people. You have an opportunity all the time. And as with Louisville Slugger, it could lead to something big, or you might meet somebody. Like there's What Not a Bevy out there today. Good morning, What Not a Bevy. Why is it what not a bevy instead of what a bevy? It's what a bevy. Maybe from Minnesota, people would say water, water. California, we say water, water. We just say water, kind of water. Okay, anyway, today Kelly McGonigal's stress, but let's look to see what advice from an 80-year-old is. Do not pray for easier lives. Pray to be stronger. Right. Don't pray to say, Lord, take this burden from my shoulders. It'd be better to pray. It would be better to pray, give me the strength to carry this burden. British people say, wah-uh, 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 bevy, wah-uh, bevy. And I think people from Jamaica pronounce bacon, beer can, beer can. I had some beer can with breakfast today. Okay, so yesterday we had our volunteers, our wraparound lunch for our orphans and widows. Had a pretty good turnout, 25 people plus DWSS was there, Trailways was there, 2 Cosmetology was there, this other organization was there. We was there. We was there to make a difference. And at least for one day, people's lives were better. A bunch of showers, a barber was there. And I got to say to the team, good job, Pastor George, Pastor Frank, Pastor Andy showed up. Gloria, good job, manned the desk, did the thing, did her thing. Let's see, who else special knows? The drivers that were picking people up. All good, all good, all good. So it's a start. And we need to do that again and again and again and again. Okay, so what else do we have on our hit parade? Seth Godin. The violinist problem. 200 years ago, there was a lot of violinists, many living in it. If you were of means and wanted to hear music, your best option was to hire someone to play it for you. Of course, the invention of the phonograph and the radio changed all of that. Now, one great violinist could be heard by millions, not dozens of people. The result is that there are now only 2 sorts of violinists. 1, people who play the violin because they love it. They might get paid, but they probably don't. 2, people who are so good at playing the violin that it's worth hiring them instead of listening to a recording. They bring humanity, possibility, and power to their performance in a way that no streaming service ever could. If you are hoping to make a living as a pretty good violinist, you were born in the wrong century. As you've already guessed it, we're all violinists now. And there's a link under all. I'm going to click on that. Aries Top 5. Zingerman's. Zingerman's Guide to Giving Great Service. Learning to give great service through the lens of translation. Okay, I'll have to read that later because time is racing. And how are things in Fort Jacks? What not about Wa'a Bevy? How are things there? Wa'a Bevy. Today is a trip to Vegas to make things happen. Blessed as can be. Cool. Right. Drinking some fresh wa'a. Good. Wa'a is good. What is good? Let's talk about stress. Okay, stress, good or bad? Well, I'm going to cut right to the chase because we only have a few minutes left. Kelly McGonigal makes a fact-based argument, compelling fact-based argument, that stress is simply the body's natural response to certain things going on around us. Stress is not the problem. The problem is fear of stress. The problem is the results of having cortisol keep tripping because our immune system is not designed to work when we're in stressful situations. So people who are constantly sick probably have more stress in their lives, imagined or real, and their immune system doesn't work as well. And then to overcome the stress, they might often nibble on food, so then they become overweight, and then they work out less, so they're not releasing endorphins, and then they'll resort to other ways to feel good instead of endorphins being active, laughing, do things. They'll resort to dopamine to feel good. Oh, I'll just have a piece of cake. I'll do something like that. They don't do serotonin, and then they start isolating more, start seeing fewer and fewer people. And then once again, dopamine comes in, so they're not seeing people, they're not getting oxytocin, they're not getting serotonin because they're not proud of how they look. They don't feel proud about themselves, the effects of stress, etc. And everything starts unraveling. Instead of moving higher up in the energy spectrum, they're moving down in the energy spectrum. Not good. So, stress is associated with the release of cortisol. And in itself, cortisol is good. Historically, we would not be alive if we did not have cortisol. However, the constant drip of cortisol is not good. One way that Kelly McGonigal talks about to stop the release of cortisol or to its effects is through oxytocin. So she spends a good amount of time talking about the benefits of oxytocin, even saying, not seriously, but saying maybe we should even snort it to get that in our system, because it makes us want to hug people, help people, be hugged by people, etc. That's very important. AA is fundamentally built upon overcoming dopamine and cortisol by oxytocin. If you feel like drinking, call a sponsor, go to a meeting. What does that do? Release oxytocin. That stops the flow of dopamine and cortisol. Very important. So stress is not bad. Stress heightens the body, prepares the body for what's coming ahead. That's what it does. Stress in itself is not bad. It's our feelings about stress and always being under stress that's bad. We don't want that. We want to have it as kind of our secret weapon, our tool that we can go to when we are in actual stressful times, because that's a big problem of people. This would get into Stoicism. People are usually more worried about what could happen from the thing than the thing. Okay, so we're going to call it a day. Going to Vegas today. Tonight I am speaking at what is it called? Unified Men's Group at 6 o'clock. It'll be there. Hopefully it'll be interesting. Hopefully deliver. It certainly will be something different. We're not going to be preaching to the choir tonight. This is going to be a law school lecture meets jail Bible study. How about that? Law school lecture preview Preview, worksheet, QR codes, statistics, numbers backed by facts. Uh-oh, could be scary. Okay, so with that, what not a bevy, you available for a phone call? And with that, I'm going to say and cut.